In the dense forest silence, among rock, lake plants and trees, 16 silver steps unfold, the Plitvice Lakes. This nearly 10-kilometre chain of lakes and waterfalls was discovered long ago by nature lovers. It soon became clear this beauty reached far beyond local and national borders. A rare union of water and karst, set within forest wilderness. Beyond their beauty, the lakes, forests and grasslands are home to many forms of life, from fish, bears and lynx hidden in the woods, to a rich world of plants. The Plitvice Lakes also attracted scientists. Biologists, geologists and chemists study the link between the living and non-living world, Tufa. They soon understood how fragile this complex system is to human impact. For this reason, the lakes and surrounding forests were declared a national park in 1949, a landscape of exceptional natural value. That this place is truly unique was later confirmed by experts and travellers from around the world. In 1979, UNESCO added the Plitvice Lakes to the World Heritage List. The lakes lie in a hilly region of dense forests of the Lika region in Croatia. Its summit stays white long after snow has melted below. Winters are long and snowy, while springs are cold and rainy. The first snow can fall in November, and the last even in May. By mid-May, after long rains and melting snow, the water reaches its peak. Waterfalls are the defining feature of the Plitvice Lakes. There are hundreds of them, from tiny splashing cascades to large waterfalls of every shape. Some are named, many remain unnamed. Elsewhere, water flows quietly through forest groves. Through this watery jungle, countless streams find their way. They leap over small and large obstacles, rustling in dozens of little falls. On steeper slopes, waterfalls hide within dense greenery. They are revealed only by their whiteness. Plitvice, 28 meters high, is the tallest waterfall of the Upper Lakes. It is also among the largest and widest, where water spreads like a white curtain down a long rock face. Fine droplets scatter far into the air, forming a powerful spray. Water crashes down with full force, rumbling like a summer storm. It pushes out the air, creating strong drafts that carry the lightest droplets meters away. Nearby is the graceful, smaller Milka Trnino waterfall. Though modest in size, its elegance captivates. Water flows over barriers in delicate, branching streams. At the end of the lake system stands the Plitvice Lakes. At 78 meters, it is the highest waterfall in Croatia. Seen from the viewpoint near entrance 1, it is a breathtaking sight. The waterfall is most impressive on a sunny spring morning, when it is full of power and sunlight illuminates millions of droplets. At its base, a large rainbow often glows clearly against the dark, wet rock. During heavy rains, several long waterfalls become active in a wide semicircle. Plitvice Lakes is formed by a stream only 4 kilometers long. To truly feel its power, one must descend to the very base. There, a wet welcome awaits. Spray fills the air. Everything is damp and slippery. From close range, the richness of detail is revealed. Water breaking against rock, splitting into hundreds of fine strands, like white silk. After the fall, the water joins the Sastavci, the place where the final lake, Novakovića Brod, also plunges downward. Here, the last lake waters tumble into the canyon, forming the final scene of the Plitvice system. From the viewpoint near entrance 1, one of the most iconic views opens up. The Sastavci and the powerful Plitvice waterfall, seen together in a dramatic unity. During heavy rains, several long waterfalls become active across a wide semicircle, sliding down the rock faces like white ribbons. The entire space takes on the form of a natural amphitheatre, where water, rock and air bring the story of the Plitvice Lakes to a majestic close. Between the large lakes, Galovac and Kozjak, a wide wooden walkway safely crosses this watery world. It is raised on solid pillars above the surface. Thousands of visitors pass along it, quite literally through the heart of the park. Surrounded by such beauty, it is natural to ask how all of this was created. The answer is all around us. One only needs to look at fallen trees in the shallow, clear water. Their bare branches and trunks are coated with a greyish-yellow substance. It is this quiet magic that built the Plitvice Lakes, turning an ordinary watercourse into a wonder of global scale. This is Tufa, a porous rock formed by limestone depositing on every free surface in the water. On its own, this would not be remarkable, if Tufa here had not created vast barriers. These barriers blocked the flow of streams and rivers, raised the water level, and shaped the lakes. This type of tufa, typical of Plitvice and other karst waters, is called phytogenic tufa. The name reveals the key secret. Living organisms are responsible: plants, algae, and microorganisms. Limestone coats mosses that gradually die, yet remain a base for new growth. Through their quiet disappearance, almost like a form of sacrifice, a natural wonder is created. Layer by layer, tufa grows, light and porous. The process never stops. Spraying water in rapids marks the beginning of every waterfall that will grow over time. Tufa takes on many forms. It can create underwater thresholds, grooves and tubes through which water flows, or descend along waterfalls in long beards and curtains. Each shape depends on water speed, light, and life clinging to it. Tufa formation continues without pause. Depending on conditions, it is faster in some places, slower in others. As a result, the Plitvice Lakes are constantly changing. The landscape we see today is not the same as it was hundreds or thousands of years ago. For example, about 400 years ago, there were two lakes where Kozjak lies today. Between them, a magnificent waterfall must have flowed. But the lower barrier grew faster, eventually drowning the waterfall. What remains is a submerged barrier around 40 meters high, now 4 meters below the surface. The lakes and waterfalls we know today will continue to change naturally in the future. The Plitvice Lakes are the result of an interplay between water, permeable and impermeable rock, and living organisms. The wider area collects rainfall that sinks underground and re-emerges at the surface through numerous springs. The lakes are formed by several streams, the most important being the White and the Black River. The Black River flows slowly in the deep shade of beech forest. Its water is icy. Exceptionally clear and shallow, it reveals white sand and black moss on the riverbed, from which it takes its name. The river alternates between rapids and calmer stretches, often flowing beneath fallen trees. Its source lies below a vertical cliff, where water bursts directly from the mountain's interior, between moss-covered rocks. Along the Black River, silence prevails. There are no crowds or the constant murmur of lakeside trails used daily by thousands of visitors. Only the rustle of leaves, the soft sound of water, and cool shade beneath dense canopies. After several kilometers, the Black River joins the White River. Together, they form the Matica, which then flows into Prosciansko Lake. Silence fills the large Prosciansko Lake beneath gentle sunlight. It is encircled by forest, light green deciduous crowns, and dark evergreen trees reflected on the surface. In such solitude, the feeling of endless woodland comes easily. Calm and openness slowly replace the memory of roaring waterfalls. Though it appears shallow, the lake reaches depths of up to 37 meters. Prosciansko is the first of 16 lakes that, over 8 kilometers and a vertical drop of 114 meters, end at the Sastavci. The first 12 lakes are wide and irregular in shape. These are the upper lakes. A particularly striking section of the upper lakes lies between Prosciansko Lake and Kozjak. Here, a chain of smaller lakes, irregular in form and varied in size, merges into a playful water mosaic. Each lake has its own character, its own rhythm and color, and the water between them is never still. A wooden walkway, raised just above the surface, guides visitors through this maze of water and greenery. Walking along it, one passes close to waterfalls and calm, mirror-like pools, almost at the very heart of the landscape. This is a place where the Plitvice Lakes are experienced slowly, step by step, in a continuous dialogue of water, forest, and silence. Tall aquatic plants surround pockets of still water, where the clear depths reveal the bottom and small shoals of chub drifting or resting. Between tiny islets and upon them, trees and shrubs grow among vast leaves of butterbur. Shallow waters are pierced by aquatic plants. Lake Kozjak is the most famous and the largest of the Plitvice Lakes. It naturally separates the upper and lower lakes, acting as a wide, calm pause between two waterfall worlds. Unlike the smaller lakes and rapids, Kozjak is spacious and quiet. Its turquoise surface often appears like a mirror, reflecting forest and sky. Across this open water, tourist boats glide silently from one shore to the other. A crossing of Kozjak offers a different view of Plitvice, slower, calmer, almost meditative. The final 4 lakes are smaller and elongated, spending much of the day in the shade of a steep canyon rising up to 50 meters. These are the lower lakes. Their difference is clearly visible in both the landscape and the geological foundation. The base here is made of carbonate rock. The upper lakes rest on impermeable dolomite, where water is retained by the terrain. Toward the lower lakes, dolomite gives way to more permeable limestone, easily dissolved by water. Here, water carved a canyon. Because the ground is permeable, water would vanish underground if Tufa did not seal the cracks. How crucial this is can be seen at the start of the Korana, where Tufa formation stops and water sinks below the surface. The lower lakes feel more severe and dramatic than the upper lakes. Confined between high canyon walls, in constant shade and cooler air. Here, Plitvice reveals itself as a narrow, deep passage, where water relentlessly finds its way toward the Korana.
Below the Sastavici, the chain of lakes ends, and the Korana River is born. Many consider it one of the most beautiful springs in the world. In summer, the Korana is difficult to pass. In places, there is not enough water for swimming, and the bottom is deceptive, made of soft Tufa sand and silt that behaves like living mud. Shade arrives early, as the river flows through a deep canyon. Through dense reeds, the only reminder of the wider world are bare stone cliffs, carved with caves such as Golubnyacha. In places, the Korana narrows to a stream, then suddenly widens into a true river and plunges into spectacular waterfalls. Elsewhere, willows almost completely block the passage. Although just a few hundred meters upstream, tourists crowd the trails. Here, there is silence. In summer, the river sinks underground, only a few kilometers below the Sastavici, near the first houses of the village of Korana. Here, the national park comes to an end. Tufa creates a remarkable underwater landscape. Only a few have ever had the chance to look inside the lakes. Mummified trees are protected from time by a thin layer of tufa that coats almost everything beneath the water. In the largest lakes, deeper still, the bottom becomes a plain of soft tufa mud and other sediments. Aquatic plants are a vital part of the system, not only in building tufa. Meadows cover the shallower parts of the lakebed. Light easily penetrates the clear water and provides them with energy. Wherever there is enough space and light, greenery soon spreads across the bottom. In places, it is replaced by stonewort algae, mosses, and other underwater plants. With increasing depth, bare tufa landscapes become more common. The world turns greenish and blue, like the surface of a planet that never came to life. The underwater relief forms plains, gentle hills, and valleys. Soft tufa, like snow, smooths every sharp edge. Here and there, cracks open, sudden drops appear, even underwater cliffs. These are traces of former barriers and waterfalls, evidence of the building power of Tufa. Especially impressive are the waterfalls below the water's surface. Here, their force is transferred into depth rather than air, transforming into whirlpools and powerful vortices. This is a hidden world of millions of bubbles, unseen currents, and ever-changing forms, where water reveals its true power. Fish move along the lakebed. Along the shores, chub are often seen, unafraid of visitors and sometimes even expecting food. Some fish grow to impressive size here, with abundant food and time, free from fishing pressure. Pike are also common, occasionally seen lurking near the banks. They are the top fish predators of the lakes. Most notable is the trout, perfectly adapted to these waters. It is native to the lakes and occurs in two forms. The brown trout has large, exclusively red spots, while the lake trout bears glossy black markings. Minnows also live here, small fish whose males develop bright red bellies in spring. They often gather below waterfalls, gulping air bubbles in search of oxygen. Freshwater crayfish are also inhabitants of the Plitvice waters. They move slowly along the bottom, protected by their shells. They nearly disappeared due to overharvesting, disease, and other pressures. Today, fortunately, they are often seen beneath the wooden walkways. In contrast, the dye snake is very common. It is a water snake similar to the grass snake, but darker in color. The dye snake can dive for up to 15 minutes. It glides along the bottom, camouflaged against the yellowish tufa. Testing its surroundings with its tongue, it freezes when it senses prey, then strikes suddenly. Plitvice draw a wide range of wildlife. The otter feeds and plays here, finding shelter along calm banks and waterside cover. Ducks are often seen on the lakes, nesting here, lingering in the shallows and tending their feathers. Moorhen and grey herons appear at times, while other birds gather along the shores, including house martins and swallows, collecting mud for their nests. Close to the water, the wagtail is common, a small, lively bird, constantly flicking its tail as it moves along the shore. On rocks rising from the water lives the dipper, a dark brown bird with a white chest, related to the blackbird in name only. It feeds on larvae of aquatic invertebrates and is perfectly adapted to life by the water. It has strong legs, a gland that waterproofs its feathers, and protective flaps over its nostrils. The Plitvice Lakes are also a realm of insects, especially dragonflies. As larvae, they spend several years on the lakebed before transforming into flying adults. They often rest on dense aquatic plants, allowing close observation. Mayflies, caddisflies, and stoneflies share similar life cycles, their larvae building small cases from pebbles or plant material. Snails are also abundant along the shores, an essential part of this complex ecosystem. At the junction of the Matice and Prosciansko Lake lies a wetland covered with reeds and diverse aquatic vegetation. In places, the ground feels like a sponge. This is a fen, formed by peat moss that absorbs and retains water. Among many plant species grows the round-leaved sundew, a carnivorous plant that traps small. Although water is the most famous feature of the Plitvice, forests cover nearly 80% of the park. As elevations up to about 700 meters, mountain beech forests dominate. Above that, dinaric forests of beech and fir spread across the slopes. The park also includes the Chalkova Uvala primeval forest, an area of about 80 hectares untouched by human intervention. Here, beech and fir grow freely, age, fall, and decay, creating new soil. Fir trees can live for more than 500 years, beech for around 300. On terrain shaped by sinkholes, limestone grooves, and rock blocks covered by varying layers of soil, trees in every stage of life create a powerful sense of true wilderness. These forests are home to many animals. Roe deer and wild boar are only part of the roughly 50 mammal species recorded in the park. Yet the greatest significance belongs to the wolf, bear, and lynx, large predators that have become rare in Europe. Dense, connected forests and preserved nature rich in food and shelter allow them to survive here and move freely through vast, uninterrupted habitats. Although visitors almost never see them, their presence deeply shapes the ecosystem. They regulate other animal populations, maintain natural balance, and testify to the health of the landscape. The Plitvice Lakes are not only a place of exceptional beauty, but also one of the few areas in Europe where wilderness still endures. The ban on forest exploitation benefits not only bears, but also a rich community of woodland birds. More than 150 species are recorded here. Thanks to old and decaying trees, many woodpeckers have found ideal nesting and feeding sites. Of the 9 species present, the most remarkable is the white-backed woodpecker, a very rare bird in Europe. Primeval forest is not valuable only to large animals, but also to a rich world of insects. Dead and decaying wood provides habitat and food for many species, especially beetles and longhorn beetles, essential for wood decomposition and nutrient cycling in the forest. Forest cover prevents erosion and the loss of loose soil. Through this soil, water filters and is purified, slowly entering the underground before re-emerging as springs and streams that feed the lakes. Most of the park's 1,148 plant species are found on grasslands. However, while the absence of human activity benefits forests, grasslands suffer. Without mowing and grazing, shrubs and trees spread. This is a natural process of succession. Grasslands gradually turn into forest, and plant diversity declines. The seasons at the Plitvice do more than change colours. They transform the entire landscape. In spring, water surges and fills every waterfall. Melting snow and long rains give the lakes their power, and the sound of water dominates the forest. Everything feels fresh, alive, and in constant motion. In summer, water levels gradually drop. Waterfalls grow quieter, while the lakes become calmer and clearer. In warmer months, tufa barriers, underwater plants, and fish near the shores are easier to see. Light is strong, colours are deep, and dense forest greenery offers shade. Autumn brings a shift in rhythm. Forests turn into a rich mosaic of red, gold, and brown, reflected on the lake surfaces. Misty mornings and lower sun give the landscape a calm, almost melancholic mood as nature slowly prepares to rest. Winter covers the Plitvice in snow and silence. Visitors are few, and the landscape feels almost unreal. In the coldest periods, waterfalls partly or fully freeze, turning into massive ice sculptures. Then Plitvice reveals its harshest, yet one of its most beautiful faces. In summer, when thousands of people walk the trails, as the sun beats down and water levels are at their lowest, the tourist season reaches its peak. Paradoxically, this is when the park often appears least impressive. Waterfalls are quieter and weaker than at other times of year. Tourism is now the main source of income for the area. 3 hotels have been built, local construction has expanded, and new roads have brought the lakes closer to ever more visitors. At the same time, the Plitvice Lakes have come under pressure from all sides. Despite protection, these pressures have disturbed a very fragile natural balance. One of the key conditions for tufa formation is clean water. Increased amounts of dissolved organic matter slow this process and accelerate the natural aging of lakes, leading to the formation of wetlands. For this reason, the Plitvice require careful management and thoughtful use, so that the world of cascading lakes and waterfalls can continue to live, change, and grow in its own natural rhythm. In the end, the Plitvice Lakes remain a place where nature and time meet in constant dialogue. Here, water endlessly builds, erodes, and creates again, reminding us that beauty is not static, but a living process. If we approach them with respect and patience, the Plitvice Lakes will continue to teach us about silence, balance, and the power of nature.